Where has the desire come for that to be part of what you want to do?
When I was in that low point that I mentioned earlier, when I was exiting the military, one of the things that pulled me out of it, I had to stop and identify, like, what brings me joy? What am I here for? What's my purpose type stuff? I'm thinking things were great, but the fulfillment wasn't really there. I had started dabbling in this space because I was in the military. I was saving in a thrift savings plan, right? It's like a federal 401k, and I was losing money. And I was like, yo, this is not going to sustain the last third of my life if I intend to not work.
How do we respond when our people come to us and make a mistake?
I don't even know why this is emotional for me. He showed up exactly as a leader should, right? He didn't tell me I let him down. He told me he didn't feel let down. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the Everyday Leader Podcast. Leadership is a choice. Join me, Matt, and my co-hosts Drew and Tate each episode as we break down how to lead powerfully in your family, team, and organization.
Hey, we're back with another episode of the Everyday Leader Podcast. Matt and I are super excited to have Nathan Wheeler with us today. Nathan and I have recently become partners in AMP, the Abundant Man Project. We became pretty close, very close friends the last few months. It's crazy when you find someone who's passionate about the things you are, how quick bonds can form. And Nathan's got an incredible background. He was a Army Ranger. He now leads one of the fastest growing financial firms in the United States, and amazing friend, amazing man. He's all about helping people reach their God-given potential. And like I said, we had an awesome experience. The three of us were together just a couple weeks ago. So I'm sure we probably will talk a little bit about that today too. But Nathan, Matt, and I are excited to have you on our show today.
I'm excited to be here, man. Thank you.
Yeah, well, why don't we the first question we love asking our guests, and then we'll kind of see where this goes, is if you had to define leadership, Nathan, what's it mean to you? There's 100 different ways I've seen people define it, but in your mind, when you think about leadership, what is leadership?
That's a really good question, and it's a really hard question to answer because I've experienced leadership in so many different ways, right? Not only throughout my adolescence and some of the things that I was involved in, moving into the military, experiencing leadership there, getting out of the military, moving into corporate space, now leading like an all volunteer force in the financial services space. And, in different ways that I've led, men and humans really in different areas of their lives. It's hard, man, for me to like put like, what is leadership, or what is a leader? I know as I sit here and think about it, because I try to just unpack it all, I think one of the most important components of a leader is the ability to lead from the front, like the ability to like, hey, this is what right looks like. Let me show you, and let's go do it together. And then let you take the reins. And that's kind of, even as I say that, it's funny because you ask like, hey, we'll see where this question takes the conversation. It's funny when I think about that in relation to just what I'm doing now professionally, because like, even when I like bring on a new associate into my organization, it's like, hey, we're going to do this together. You're going to watch me do it. And then we're going to do it together. And I'm going to watch you do it. We're going to make sure that everything lines up and that we're all operating with the utmost integrity. And then, you go take over the world. Because as far as I'm concerned, the greatest leaders are in the business of developing leaders. They're not in the business of like, hey, I'm going to do this all forever. I'm going to be the guy at the top. No, the greatest leaders are the people who bring people up that hopefully surpass whatever level they've accomplished, right? Because I always think about this. Anybody that I ever work with or operate with, or any leader that I've ever worked with, like, we all have the potential to be greater than the person that got us, that showed us the way. And here's why. Those people had coaches, guiders, mentors, leaders. They had people that helped them develop into who they are. And then they're pouring that into us from all of the experience that they've ever received from anybody. But then we have a component that they never would have. And the people that we coach, train, guide, mentor, lead, they have a component that we would never have. And that is themselves. That is them, their experiences, who they are. So they're going to bring a perspective that will magnify their leadership potential in a way that couldn't otherwise be done. And so, again, I don't know if this is an answer to the freaking question, but it is like in my brain as I unpack leadership and what a leader is somebody that inspires. They provide purpose, motivation, direction, inspiration to help people become the greater version of themselves, the greatest version of themselves. And so that's, for me, that's what I look for. So when I look at people that I want to be in the same room with, they are people who are uplifting everybody around them. That's just what it is. That is, for me, what a leader is. Not somebody who leads like from authority, like an authoritarian, or somebody who leads based on rank or position, which is how we lead in the military. You know what I mean? Now, granted, the best leaders that I experienced in the military, they didn't have to lead based on rank or position. I'm not saying that everybody does that, but according to doctrine there, that's what it is. Like, you are leading people based on your rank or your position, and that's an effective way based on what their execution commands. But when I think of true leadership, people that I would follow to the depths of freaking hell, it's because I know that they are working to inspire everybody to reach their greatest potential. They are uplifting others. So that's what I look for in leaders.
That's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up. I love the idea that like the greatest leaders build other leaders, like help lift other leaders. It's huge.
Yeah, and I love the idea too that a leader is gonna, here, let me show you how to do it. Let's do it together, and then I'm gonna let you do it. Like, great principles.
I've noticed.
Cool. Well, go ahead, Nate.
I was just going to say on that note, I've noticed the greatest organizations on the planet, the most successful organizations on the planet in any regard, in any industry. I'm not speaking particular to any lane, but they are those that create systems of leaders that develop leaders.
100%.
Okay, Nathan. For those that don't know you, tell us a little bit of the Nathan Wheeler story. Like, how did you get to leading a fast financial growing firm, and like, what's the, and I know we could spend a long time on this story, but what's the short story of Nathan Wheeler, and why is that where he's at?
There's a lot to unpack there. I remember I was speaking to some folks, recently, and they asked that same question. And about an hour and a half later, we realized that we dove down the wrong rabbit hole, right? Yeah, and not necessarily.
This attention span's only 30 minutes, so just
that's what I was
remember
gonna
that.
say. That's why I was like, "Yo, we can't do that." Because before I call him out, I was like, "Hey, dude, we got a hard stop. It doesn't matter if it's gold. It doesn't matter if it's platinum. I don't care if it's gonna, cure world hunger. We're stopping at 30 minutes." I don't know if I agree with that sentiment, but what I can play by the rules. When I think about like where I'm at, how I got here, again, it's kind of nuts. I always question, like, where should I start when we're talking about, like, how did I get here? My life, what does that look like? I don't know where to start. I mean, I grew up in an abusive home, left home at 14, had some back and forth there because you're not allowed to do that legally, was legally emancipated at 16, joined the Army at 18. Had a good career in the Army, had no intent to make it a career initially when I started out, but I went to combat and realized that the life that I knew could be a wildly different life in terms of success and what actually can be attained when you're on the right path, because I was definitely on the wrong path. Again, after that first combat deployment, I started taking the Army seriously. I started going to some of their leadership courses. Really pursuing greatness there, graduated from like every school that I've ever been to at the top of the class. If I wasn't the number one graduate, I was the number two, right? And like every school that I've been to in the military is really good. I decided to, go the special operations route. I was with the 173rd Airborne Brigade when I went to Ranger School and Airborne School and some other unique courses that are designed to help facilitate leadership within the military. Had a great time doing that. Went to 10 Special Forces Group, continued some of that trajectory of success there by setting myself apart in the best of ways, realistically, based on some of the things that I did, the additional skills that I acquired, and special qualifications that I attained. I had a good time. I guess I'm just trying to unpack it all in my brain and share it with you at the same time. It was a good time. I had a good time in the military. It was awesome. I took it very seriously after I realized that this could be the segue to a life that I didn't think was possible. Because I thought that the life that I had to live was the one that I had been living. I thought what success was for me was entirely different than what success looked like for the majority of the world. And so when I realized that my vision, my vision, my version of life was skewed. I was like, okay, let's go take this and run with it. And you guys have known me for, a few months at this point, and I'm very confident, could attest to the fact that when I decide to do something, this is what's getting done.
Yeah.
And so
Totally.
I took that approach in the military, and it was very, very good. I did a lot of amazing things. Sometimes it doesn't even seem like my life, because it was, not only has it been about a decade, but I've lived different lives since then because I had to. I got out of the military, and my identity was overnight, like everything that I had created my life to be was gone. That transition out of the military is very difficult, because while you're in the military, and anybody can relate to this in any career field, I would argue that the military is definitely different in certain aspects, and I'm sure we could all agree on that. But I can't act like there's a uniqueness to experience an identity crisis. People experience that at different points of their life, and it was no different for me. And so coming out of the military was a significant challenge. I got divorced, got out of the military at the same time, which was it was a lot, because we as men, those are the things that we live for, the family that we create and the means by which we provide for them. And they were both kind of shattered at the same time. And it was rough. It was rough for me. And I had to figure out who I am, the type of man that I wanted to be. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to cope. I had no experience in that. And so I just drank a lot of whiskey. And I did that for about 6 months. And it was an interesting time in my life. And I don't know, had I not had children, if I would have made it. I don't know if I would have wanted to. You know what I mean? And anyway, I had to start making money again. So I just went back to Afghanistan on a Special Operations Joint Task Force. Right. And I went and played the game that I knew. It was a game that I'm good at. Still, I'm very good at the game that I know how to play. And it was a weird experience, quite frankly. Like, the environment that I was in, the people I was around, it was very different than, because the people that I was there with, most of them had never served in the community. So I was like the outlier, having actually been in the special operations community. And then these other people were on this, contracting for this task force, and they're coming with, different backgrounds. It was weird. And not bad, but weird. And so I ended up coming back stateside. I wanted to be more present with my children. And so I got picked up contracting for the Army, did some stuff for the Army and the Navy, training the military for a while. Then I was asked to develop and facilitate the senior leader courses for the United States Space Forces. We stood up the newest branch of our military. I got those programs off the ground. Then I went to work at one of our combatant commands, writing the campaign order, which just outlines to the branches of the military how we're going to execute the national strategy. And then I went to work for a company called Deloitte for a little bit. Now, I hadn't heard of Deloitte until they offered me a job, and Deloitte just so happens to be one of the largest, most prestigious firms on the planet. And so I worked with them as a senior consultant in the government and public sector. And then I left all of that. I had worked my way to, you got to understand, dude, as a young, dumbass kid, leaving home at 14, running around the streets, gangbang, just doing some dumb, and shout out to the folks that I love. There's no love lost for anybody that I experienced life with along the way, but I figured out a way to play the game that I appreciate that. Because you can't play to win if you don't know the rules. So I learned the rules, I played to win, and I ended up working for a very awesome organization, and it was great. I learned a lot from Deloitte, especially about leadership, right? They pour into people. They expect you to pour into them and to build the organization, but they pour into you too. And it was good. And I left all of that. I was making what I thought was really, really good money, had a very healthy 6-figure salary. And when I was growing up, you making 6 figures, you made it. You win. You just won the game of life. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm thinking things were great, but the fulfillment wasn't really there. And I had started dabbling in this space of financial services. Just kind of get to your question, right? How did you go from there to doing what you're doing now? I had started dabbling in this space because I was in the military. I was saving in a thrift savings plan. Right? It's like a federal 401k, and I was losing money. And I was like, yo, this is not going to sustain the last third of my life if I intend to not work. Right? Because a lot of people in the military, hey, I'm going to get out, I'm going to retire, and I'm going to have enough money to live. Nah, hero, you're going to have enough money to exist, but there's going to be more that you need to do to sustain a healthy lifestyle. I guess depending on how you want to live. I don't want to be a bum. So I'm not going to rely on, military retirement and disability. And granted, I know some people who do, and they're living very comfortable. So don't misinterpret, my perspective of how I want to live in relation to how other people are living comfortably. I have a different vision for me and what I intend to do with my life. And so I knew that I had to have more if I wanted to sustain my lifestyle. So I went and started learning about wealth. I sat down with some financial professionals and I learned, like, how does money grow? How are we taxed on that growth? What are the different ways that we can strategize wealth? Because there's got to be more than 401ks, TSPs, and IRAs. There's got to be just more than what these traditional retirement supplements are that they offer. There's got to be something that can help us, build something worth having without riding the highs and the lows. Like, there's just got to be a way to play the game. And so I went and learned about it. And I was introduced to strategies for cash accumulation and asset protection that I was entirely unfamiliar with. Why was I unfamiliar, guys? Because there's no financial education in the United States of America. It's not that like I was some, dude sitting in the corner missing out on the opportunity to learn these things that were being taught. No, the things weren't being taught. People graduate high school, they enter into the workforce. There was no financial education in high school, right? Less than 14% of high schools in this country offer financial education. So we graduate, we enter into the workforce, we start making money, and then what do we do with it? You know what I mean? Who knows? We go talk to our parents, maybe an advisor, maybe a banker, and all these people are telling us something different. And then in this industry, you have different lanes, securities, banking, and insurance. And then in those lanes, you have hundreds of companies. You know what I'm saying? And they're all telling you something different. And so how do you figure it out? How do you actually understand? Because there's got to be a better way. Look around. If you're making $250,000 a year in this country, you're in the top 5%. If you're making $250,000 a year in Colorado and you got 4 kids, you're not even living comfortably. So what are we talking about? There's got to be, there's a gap. There's a missing thing. And a lot of it has to do with just understanding, again, the rules of the game so you can play to win. So I started learning them. And I had no intent to change my career because, like I said, I thought I was doing great. I thought I was doing good. We got a nice house. We got the cars. We got the lifestyle. Like before I ever moved into entrepreneurship, we were doing pretty good. And I started helping friends and family. I had no intent to change my career. But as I started helping friends and family, not only did I realize the fact that nobody knows all the things when it comes to wealth. Think about this for a second. All of us do different things. We do some similar things, but we've all done and do different things. To be great in that space, it took time, energy, and effort. We had to pour into learning, understanding, and knowing how we could be great there. Well, wealth and financial strategy is no different. But if you're spending your time being excellent elsewhere to generate the income based on your level of expertise, then how are you going to be an expert over here as well? People think that they can do it, and don't get me wrong, some people do a pretty good job, but that doesn't mean there are holes in the boat. And so as I started learning more and more about wealth and the reality of what we're seeing in this country, I learned more. I started helping more and more people. I started getting referrals. I started building out an organization without even doing it intentionally. I started realizing that there are people who want to learn and know this, and some of them wanted to supplement their income. And just like people hopping into real estate, people hop into financial services part-time. You get licensed, you can operate within this industry, you can start building something that's not only supplementing income, but that could be a replacement for your current career. So I started noticing all these different things started happening. It was a lot to take in. Fortunately, my brain moves at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So I was like just soaking it up. You know what I mean? And so I was experiencing in real time the detriment that we see in finance, learning how we can solve some of that, understanding the needs of people, not only with wealth strategy, but additional income because the economy sucks. Like all these things are happening simultaneously. And it's like, oh, I may be onto something here. Like there may be something deeper than what I'm exploring as I scratch this surface. And so I spent more time learning, diving in, understanding how to build an agency and organization within this industry, understanding how to build the systems and processes that could facilitate the success of anybody coming off the street, just, hey, with the desire to be great. Because look, I can teach anybody financial services. That's too easy. But I can't teach somebody how to want to be great or how to want to do the right thing. You either have that or you don't. And so when I find those people, it's easy. So I had to build the systems and processes to facilitate that transition into this industry. And so I spent time doing that. And then I left Deloitte in March 24th of 2023 to go full-time into this industry. And my wife was 7 months pregnant with our 4th child. And Deloitte offers 16 weeks of paid family time. And so in my brain, I'm like, hey, it's unethical if I were to take 16 weeks and then leave on the back end. So I quit. Instead of taking the 4 months. And I had to go, I had to move, I had to shake. And so I did. And I did that by just educating people. I didn't have the desire. One of my mentors back then, he's like, man, one of the reasons you're so great is because you don't go in with with the intent, like this person has to be a client. Like I need this person to be my client. I never approached any conversation like that. Even now, I'm going to come in and I'm going to help you learn everything that I know in a way that you can digest it. And we'll work together to understand your questions, concerns, your starting point, your destination when it comes to wealth. And then we're just going to work together to build a strategy to make it happen. Because I'm not the freaking Batman in anybody's story. I'm not the hero in the story. I'm the Robin. I'm the freaking sidekick. I'm going to come and I'm going to help you in every way that I can to make sure that you stay the hero and that you get to where you want to be. And so this is the approach that I took. And so here we are. You know what I mean? Really doing some major things in the industry. And I love it. I love it. And it's, even as I sit here and I'm sharing this with you, I don't always stop to unpack it. Like I'm an action guy. I'm not the guy who stops to like, smell the freaking roses. Nah, man, I'm too busy planting the roses. I don't need to smell. You can smell them. You know what I'm saying? And so it's interesting just in dialogue with you guys, like kind of sharing my journey and understanding it. It's kind of insane and it's a beautiful thing and I love it. And we're just getting started. It's been 3 years since I left and went full time. Brother, most organizations aren't profitable for the first 5 years. We're doing amazing things and we're just getting started. And I love it.
It's awesome. Where would you say that mentality? We were actually talking about this before we hit record, and those of you listening don't know this. We were talking about how like today and every day can be the best day of your life. Where does that come from for you, Nathan, where you're just like, yeah, this is what the norm is, what people say is supposed to happen. And I'm like, nah, like we're just getting going. Like we're already like, where does that come from?
I honestly don't even know. Like, cause even when I was a kid, like I remember living in Arizona, elementary school, for whatever reason, I never just took like the teachers and the people who are telling me the things. I never just took that as this is the only way to do it. This is your way to do it. That's fair enough. But guess what? There's more than one way. I hate this saying, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. Who's skinning cats, by the way? Why?
Yeah.
Who's doing that? You know what I'm saying? Where did this come from? But either way, there's more than one way to get things done. You know what I mean? And so I was always the one, and I am the one to figure that out. Does that mean that I've always come up with the best way to do things? No. Does that mean sometimes I've chased wild asparagus? Sure. But like a lot of the times I figure out ways that are very effective to get things done. And so as far as the best day of my, is every day the best day of my life? Like, where does this come from? I don't accept everybody else's. And it's so funny as I'm even saying this, me and Drew on a call recently talking about some feedback and this, that, and the other, and it's all good. And we're going to take it and I'm going to learn it. I'm going to embrace it. But I also just have this vision in my brain for things especially when I get started. And so when it comes to not accepting just the norm or what everybody else, the seeds that they plant, it's not a rejection of that. It's not a rejection of those things, not at all. But I also like to explore my creativity. And then when it comes to, hey, every day is the best day of my life. Look here, we take control of our life by taking control of our day. We set the tone as we establish the foundation of our day every single day. We have the choice. And people say this, and even when I was a kid, I heard it and I didn't quite grasp it till I got older, but we can make the choice every single day to experience greatness and to create who in the life, like whatever we want, we have the opportunity every single day to create that. And so I choose that. I choose to do that so that I can live abundantly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and it's a super valid, right? Not everyone listening was just naturally like that as a kid, which is fine. And it's a muscle that you can exercise, right? Like listen to what Nathan's saying and recognize and believe like I have a choice and go choose a different path or choose to challenge or choose to question, choose to be curious. That's amazing. Also, yeah, no one's skinning cats, but who's eating wild asparagus? Like, what's up with that?
So I have a mentor and he said, I heard him say it a long time ago, like stop chasing wild asparagus because people do, right? When you're on target, when you're moving in a specific direction, sometimes some people call it a squirrel, you'll have a squirrel moment, right? It's just something that's going to take you out of alignment with where you're trying to go. You know what I mean? And look, we're all going to do it sometimes. It's the drift. right? And I train a lot on this, and people drift sometimes for years, sometimes for months, sometimes for weeks. The most important thing we can do is get that drift time down to as little as possible. So go. I don't ever discourage people from going to explore thoughts that they have. You never know what it'll lead to. Pardon me. But when you identify that it doesn't align with where you're going, it's important. It's an essential thing that you get out of that. Like, stop chasing the freaking wild asparagus. Get back to where you're going. There's gold at the end of the rainbow. Let's get back to that. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, that's that's great, and hopefully you can see Nathan's passion and all that he does, and that's why I'm excited to be doing things with him. But talk a little bit, Nathan, just about like why, because part of what you're doing is what you and I are doing closely together, and Matt's involved with as well. But building men and helping men find abundance and amplify their God-given potential. Where's the desire come from? Where has the desire come for that to be part of what you want to do?
Yeah,
Part of what you want to do where you're at currently and with this.
I want to first say it was funny because you're like, and Matt's involved too, and Matt was like the S on his chest stood up, had the AMP logo pop out. I was like, yeah, dog. Like, yeah, it's good stuff. Look, here's the thing. When I was in that low point that I mentioned earlier, when I was exiting the military, one of the things that pulled me out of it, I had to stop and identify, like, what brings me joy? What am I here for? What's my purpose type stuff? I had to do that soul searching that we always hear about, right? And I found for me that one of the things that motivates me to exist, that motivates me to get up and do the things, is all that I've experienced cannot have just been for me to have experienced it, right? So I appreciate the opportunity. It motivates me and inspires me to exist, to share my knowledge, my experiences, my resources, my network, everything that I am, my existence, to the benefit of others. Because a lot of people, kind of like Matt mentioned, they don't have some of the mind frame that I have. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what instilled it so young. Maybe get my ass whooped by my dad was a good thing. I don't know what did it, but something did. And I learned that, just like Matt said, it is a muscle that people can learn to exercise. It is a muscle that you can grow. You can become this. You can shape your identity. You can live life the way that you want to. We can experience this life in the way that we want to. And we ought to, because this life isn't a freaking practice run. It's not a scrimmage. This is the big game. This is the Super Bowl. This is our shot. And so we ought to work to experience that. And so I found, and why the Abundant Man, like this mission calls me, there's a lot of reasons for that. But at its core, it is that. It is the desire to help men. It is the desire to inspire men to be abundant and amplify their God-given potential. And I think that's necessary. I think that is a necessary component of society. I think we need this. I believe that. I experience the need for that. And so have men who have been a part of our program.
100%. Yeah, we say it often, like, that the world is starving for leadership, effective, authentic leadership. And so I love that. It's not much more complicated than that. There is a huge need for it. And I love it. We're all in on it.
All in.
Absolutely. Oh, I got like so many questions I want to ask you, Nathan, and I know Matt's brain's going to shut down here soon.
Ask away. Ask your best one, Drew, and let's go there.
What's an example, Nathan, or who has been a leader for you in your life? Like, as you've gone through this amazing journey, can you share like the men, or maybe not men, it could be women, but who has been a leader for you, and what have been the characteristics that you've wanted to emulate and create your own leadership style to follow after?
There's a few men that the first man that came to mind was Mike Ripley. He was one of my commanders in the 173rd Airborne Brigade. Didn't expect this. I don't know if it's because of, obviously it's his greatness. He's a phenomenal leader. Anybody who's ever met him, you will know, he knows and can attest to that. So I don't want to, ensuring the thought that I have, I don't want to discredit that reality. And I don't know if his impact was so significant because of the things that I was going through in my life at that time, because of the opportunities that he gave me, because of the support that he provided, just by the example that he set. I don't even know if he knows how impactful that is him. I don't know if he knows the impact that he's had on my life. I've shared to some degree with it. I've shared it with him to some degree. But just a phenomenal leader. The way that his confidence came through he was one of those leaders, again, in the military, it's rank and position that by which you have authority. He was one of those leaders where none of that freaking mattered. His authority came from the example that he set, the man that he was, the way that the man that he is, the way that he lives. Like, he's just he's compassionate, he's kind, he's considerate, he's empathetic. He's also a Green Beret, a Ranger. Like, he's also one of the most manly ass men, you know what I mean, that you can be in this country, in this world, right? And so there's that. So Mike immediately came to mind, and he opened up doors for me. And it's so crazy because I had an experience where I failed, where I did something where I experienced significant regret. And I felt so bad because I felt like I let him down. Like, in that time, and I made a note before I left Italy, before I had to go see him in his office and apologize to him, because I felt like I let him down because of everything that he had paved the way for me to accomplish. And I stepped on my freaking toes. I dropped the freaking ball on something. And I don't want to dive into that right now because no reason to dwell on that. I'm happy to talk about it, but with Matt's time frame, we don't have time for that. But this man was so impactful for me that I felt the need to let him know that, hey, brother, like, I feel like I let you down just based on how you showed up for me and the path that you paved for me, the way that you allowed me to experience life here in your organization and with you. I feel like I let you down. And so anyway, Mike's first person comes to mind. After that, Sergeant Major Underwood, Tyson Hobbs, both men very similarly when I was going through challenging times to experience what it is to become a man while I was young, making mistakes, being stupid, you know what I mean? Trying to figure out how to go from the streets to success, like, in the right way, not by selling drugs or rapping or some stupid ass stuff like that, but like actually embracing the opportunity that we have here in the United States. And there were mistakes that I made, and these men allowed for me to experience those mistakes without letting them stop me from growing. They allowed me to experience those things without holding it against me and delaying or inhibiting my progress. The other people that come to mind are Nick Bosley, Silas Lagoy, Rob Day. These men have shown me, like Silas, he's a young, bright man. When I first met him, he was not the leader that I was like, oh, this dude is like a great leader. He was a young man trying to figure out his way, and I've watched him develop into a remarkable leader that will change the world, right? He's already changing the world for many people over and over again. It's what he does. I've watched him become somebody that communicates with compassion, consideration, and consistency in relation to the message he shares, right? Silas Lagoy is a remarkable young man. Can't wait for you guys to meet him. Nick Bosley is a man that has shown me how to love, how to care, how to be compassionate while still being strong and grounded in my beliefs and foundation. He's a man that's created the example, the environment in which people can enter into really any industry and be great and successful. He just so happened to choose financial services. Nick Bosley is a selfless leader that everybody should look up to and aspire to emulate to some degree. And Rob Day, he's the guy that paved the way for Nick, Silas, and me to even be where we are. He's the kind of guy that has the limelight. If he wanted to, everybody would want to see this guy and hear him, and he could be all the famous that he wants to be, but that's not what he wants. He's the kind of guy that takes the light and shines it on the people around him. Rob Day is the guy that created the lifestyle that most people dream of, that most people don't think is possible. And when I say that, I mean taking his entire family, not just like his immediate family, on a trip to Europe for a few months just to experience life in a way that they never thought they could. He's the kind of guy that owns property all over the world and invites people to come experience that life with him and to pour into them based on the things that he's learned, the strategies that he's implemented, the way that he's gotten to where he is. He's the kind of man that will pour into everybody around him without accepting or expecting anything in return. He's the kind of guy that will show everybody their potential without limitation. And these are the men that I am around. These are the men that I surround myself with. These are the men that pour into me and give me inspiration to continue pouring into others. For sure.
It's awesome. Real quick note. Obviously, Nathan's good at speaking off the cuff, and you don't deliver that type of report on someone unless that's real. Like that's a really cool demonstration of like how much you appreciate these people, pay attention to them, learn from them, love them. Like that's really, really cool. You just showed us and our listeners something that's there that you didn't even really talk about, but you showed it, which is like go all in on the people you're around and the people that you want to learn from. And yeah, it's really cool. Obviously having a great impact on you, and really cool to see how it just comes out of you when you start talking about them.
Nathan, one question I want to go back to. Well, first off, it was so cool. Like your energy shifted as you started talking about these men. Like that's the impact a leader has, right? It changes you and it helps you see more of yourself. I don't want to dwell on that mistake, but I do want to dwell on how did he respond? Like, how did he respond when you said, "Hey, I messed up"? Like, or how did obviously you have a lot of respect and love for that man, but how did he like respond in that situation? Because I think that's a thing. Like as leaders, sometimes we're like, how do we respond when our people come to us and make a mistake?
I don't even know why this is emotional for me, but he showed up exactly the way a leader should, by pouring belief, by pouring encouragement, praise, and recognition, by giving credit where credit is due and not dwelling on the mix up, by allowing me to learn from my experience without stopping it from letting me go to where I needed to get to. You know what I'm saying? He showed up exactly as a leader should, right? He didn't tell me I let him down. He told me he didn't feel let down. You know what I mean? He empathized with me. He related to me. And he inspired me to continue being great.
That's amazing. That right there is huge for anyone to take away. Like to be able to allow a mistake, a misunderstanding, a miscommunication to teach the lesson without holding it against the person. That's huge. That is so beautiful.
I feel like I can say this, Nathan. you can cry. and I say that jokingly because Nathan was in an event with us 2 weeks ago with a bunch of men where he saw me and Matt break down in tears multiple times.
Yeah. I actually feel very accomplished that we got you to cry. I feel very accomplished. I feel like we've reached a new level of accomplishment on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't expect that.
Yeah, but I love it. Thank you for sharing this. It's awesome. It's inspiring, and just go be that kind of person, like the way Nathan has described how these people have influenced, and go be that for people. That's what we're talking about here. That's leadership. Go be that for other people.
Well, and that's why I love being around you, Nathan. That's why I love being around you, Matt, is you guys are the type of men that inspire me to go be more, to be greater. And man, when you get around people like that, like those leaders you've had, Nathan, like the men you two are, like, man, how can you not do amazing things when you got men that are committed to a mission, committed to a cause, and then willing to like support you, love you, and challenge you at the same time? Like Nathan, we've had some disagreements over the last few months, and it always ends good. Like, and I think it's because of that commitment. And so I would, if you're listening to this, go find good men. Go find good men that will support you, that will challenge you, that care more about your success than than whether or not they're right or wrong at the end of the day. And man, you get around good people and everything changes. Good leaders help you amplify your God-given potential.
Great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Nathan. It's been incredible. Appreciate you coming on, and I know your story and your energy and what you shared today will serve our listeners for sure.
Nathan, where can people find you, reach out to you if they need financial help, if they're looking for a job to make money, or if they're wanting to be part of the Abundant Man Project? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's a really good question, man. And I've tried to make that easy, right, in this age of technology. So my website is nathanu.wheeler.com. All my little handles on the social medias are Nathan U. Wheeler. So I'm pretty easy to find. And please, I would love to engage in any regard. I feel like we are here to serve others. We are here to give unto others that which we've been given. And so whether it is the Abundant Man or financial services or an opportunity to operate the most lucrative industry on the planet with the best team in the world, like whatever it, maybe you just want to have a conversation. Just reach out. And I want to share this I'm so sorry, because I've noticed this. A lot of people are scared to reach out to people for different reasons. They think that they're above their whatever. Like they're like, oh, I don't want to reach out. They don't want to hear listen to me. Listen, everybody. Everybody who's there, the best of us, we live for that. We live to pour into others. Every wealthy, every successful, every person that I've known who's been in a position that I want to be in, they are entirely open to pouring it all in, period. But they won't do it if you don't reach out. So make the phone call, have the conversation, send the freaking email, go and ask the question. Don't be scared to reach out to people who can take you to the next level, because that is what they're there to do.
It's a great reminder.
So good. Well, Nathan, thank you. Appreciate you coming on today and all those nuggets and wisdom you shared and dropped. And yeah, just to our listener, you have a choice. You can show up and be a leader for someone. You can make the difference in someone's life. You can help someone see more in themselves. And sometimes it starts with you. Sometimes it starts with that for yourself. And yeah, just grateful for you, Nathan. Thanks for joining us today.
Same, brother. I appreciate you.
Yep. To our listener, today's the day.
Thanks for joining us on the Everyday Leader podcast. If you're ready to take your leadership journey even further, subscribe to our weekly newsletter for more insights and practical tips. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram to stay a part of our growing community. Just follow the links in the show notes. If this episode impacted you, please help us spread the word and share the link with a friend from wherever you're listening.